I think every real horror fan has had at least one experience of feeling out of place when compared with quote-unquote mainstream society, but I don't think there's ever been a really good attempt to understand why it is that people really like horror. Like, most horror fans are generally normal people who have pretty good reasons for enjoying horror, but what are those reasons? The real reasons, not the ones they learn to tell people to make society leave them alone. That's what our podcast is about, interviewing people in the horror biz to find out what it is about horror that makes them happy. My name's Steve. I'm a bit of a psychology buff. My co-host is my friend Chris, who's a big horror buff. And so far, we've talked to about 50 people in the biz and had a lot of fun with it and wanted to share with you some of the highlights. In this set of excerpts, we're just going to share some of the fun stuff. If you want to hear the real meat of the interviews, come check us out on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, all the major sites, or you can just use the player on our website. In this set of excerpts, we're going to be talking to Ashen Jackal, director, editor, and cinematographer of The Red Room Curse, McLean, and Akamanto, Mike Sandlin, owner of Grindhouse Video, and Ron Bonk, writer, director of House Shark and Sharks of the Corn.
One night we were all watching TV, and in the mirror that showed all of us, that was next to the television, we saw some black thing move behind us from in the room to out of the room. And we all verified. We were like, you guys saw that, right? There was like somebody wearing like black clothes that just moved behind us. So we all got up and we looked around the house. Nobody was in the house. And that was me, my wife, James, and his wife. And then the next time we had all our computers set up in one room. There's 4 computers. We were all in there doing our various computer things. And it walked right through the room. And we all saw it, like right.
Saw
right
it in the mirror or saw it in real life?
No, we all saw it like a person walking through the room.
Wow.
Yeah. It was just a person walking through the room, a person wearing black rags. And so we started referring to him as the Rag Man. He has black hair, white skin. You can see this much detail, and black ragged trench coat. And after that, we thought it was pretty much over, right? So we went to the other place, we fixed it up, and then we started seeing him at the other place. And it never amounted to anything. And of course, when I was a kid, I would do the hide under the blanket, because that's going to protect me from whatever's out there thing.
Right? Like, isn't there a certain irony to that? Like, you're afraid of the dark, so you get under the blanket, which is still in the dark. And if anything, even more so in the dark. I guess it's your own personal isolated darkness, so it's better.
Now imagine somebody who has dealt with that as a child, hiding under the blankets to stay away from ghosts. Now imagine going to see the American version of The Grudge, and then having that one scene where she comes out from under the blanket, the one place you're supposed to be safe, right, and grabs the girl screaming under the blanket into, the ghosty abyss, I guess.
I think that's exactly why they went with it. I don't know. Maybe it was in the original Japanese story, but
I don't recall it being. Well, no, they might have done that in the original, actually. It was just, not quite as stylized, I don't think.
Yeah, but still, that's a way of breaking that boundary. Like nowhere is safe. Like, oh, you think under the covers is safe? No, they're there too.
And then, of course, they came out with the sequel, and the kid's like hiding in a hoodie, and she's inside of the hoodie and snatches him. And at that point, it's like laughable. It's like, I've given up on being afraid of this.
It's like the puddles in Poltergeist 3.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'd forgotten all about that until you mentioned that. Did you have a least favorite costume?
There was one year where I just kind of threw some stuff together. It was around the end of me going trick-or-treating personally. And I called it the guy who hits Pikachu with a pan. And I just put on some random face paint and like a clown wig. And I had a Pikachu doll, and I had a pan, and I would just hit it with the pan. And they're like, is this a character from a show? And I'm like, no, it's not a character from a show. I just,
give me candy.
I just made it up. Whatever. Yeah. I got this Pikachu here. I'm going to hit it with a pan. What do you got? Give me the candy.
It's like, why do people skydive? It's like you might die, but at the same time, it's going to be a thrilling story to tell people at the end. Just like how I look back on Like how I look back on, being scared to death of mirrors for an entire year. Like that wasn't a small portion of my young life. I was terrified of mirrors. And now I look at it and I'm like, that was a fun time. Well, I got traumatized, but in the best possible way.
Right. It's a harmless trauma.
Last year I was the business casual knight. I had a knight helmet and a great sword. And I was wearing business casual clothes.
Okay. That works. Yeah.
This year I didn't get to anything, unfortunately, but I did decorate pretty good.
Any least favorite costumes of the adult years?
They're all about the same.
Hate them all equally.
Well, in a year of lack of costumes but decorating, same situation here. I wonder, did you get any trick-or-treaters?
I never get trick-or-treaters. I always put out everything just because I enjoy the holiday, but nobody ever comes down my street. A raccoon did come and took all the candy though. So,
well, at least someone enjoyed it.
He was wearing a mask.
Yeah, I came out. So my camera in front of my house kept going off, the motion sensing camera. I'm like, what's going on? It's like there's no children out there. So I deactivated. I'm like, you're going crazy, right? Anyway, the next day I get up and I'm looking at the footage and you see this little dark mask reaching up, getting candy and breaking the Halloween eggs open and eating the candy out of them.
They made somebody happy.
I was staying with my grandma in Tampa, and my Uncle Ray came over and he's like, hey, I want to take him to a movie. And so she's like, okay, go ahead. And so we go to the theater, and the whole time he's telling me we're going to go see Robin Hood, the Disney cartoon. And I had seen that 15 times. I loved that movie. It was my favorite Disney movie. It still is. And I'm like, I can't wait to see this again. So we get to the box office, and he's like, 2 for Aliens. And I'm like, wait, what? And I was upset that I wasn't going to get to see Robin Hood, not having any idea what Aliens was.
I wanted to go see some stupid movie about aliens. This is going to be dumb and cheesy rubber costumes, and
it literally scared the shit out of me. I was so terrified of that movie. Plus, on top of it, going back to my grandma's house
and then having to lie about what you saw.
Well, not just that, that didn't worry me. I was more scared that because that night I'm sleeping in a strange room and the shadows are different. The light is different. The sound of the house is different. I did not sleep for 2 to 3 days. Wow. I was terrified. But I kind of liked that feeling. So I had recurring dreams about my church and going there to school. I would show up naked a lot. There were people living in the walls, watching me as I walked down the halls. Normal things like that.
So when you say showing up to school naked in your dream, were you adult you or child you? Do you know what I'm saying?
I think it was teen me.
Okay.
So it was the age I would have been in school.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Because that could have slightly different implications.
Right. I think I was teen me. I don't know. I haven't had that dream in forever.
Now you're going to have it tomorrow.
Right.
Brain's I'm glad you brought that up.
But I did have a lot of nightmares, and I loved them. I loved the exhilaration of waking up and realizing it was a nightmare. I don't know. I love having nightmares. So I rented Nightmare on Elm Street 2. I bring it back.
Oh yeah, the pool scene where he boiled the pool water and then all the beer cans exploded, which looked very super realistic. I remember this now. I just watched it the other week.
So I get home. It's now starting to get dark. I waited for it to get dark, and I turn off all the lights in the house. And I put in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and I get about half hour in, and I pause it. I turn on every light in the house. We had a bay window that overlooked our front lawn, but our front lawn was 500 yards away from the road. And because we were set back into the woods, it was creepy. So I closed those curtains, turned everything on, but I sat back down and started watching it again, and I was hooked. I mean, even as a Christian metalhead, you know, I'd walk through the mall, and many times I'd have people like, "You're going to hell."
Like they would tell that to you?
Oh yeah, they would flat out tell me.
Wow.
I'm like, I'm wearing the shirt of a Christian band. You want to read the lyrics? Like, there's a Bible study that goes along with it in the lyric sheet. Well, it's satanic, you know. I mean, my dad ripped down my Striper poster off the wall because they all look like girls. You know, but what's funny is he wanted me to listen to Johnny Cash and all these country artists. And I'm like, now as an adult listening to Johnny Cash, I'm like, holy shit, this is all about fucking murder. Like, and, you know, fucking sex and murder and drugs. Like, he would rather have me, he wanted me to listen to that. But the bands that were actually singing about Christian shit, he didn't like because they had guitars.
Right. It's like something straight out of like what you would hear in like a joke line in The Simpsons. Like, why can't you listen to good, wholesome Christian music like that Johnny Cash? Like,
exactly. That movie is not made for me. You haven't even seen the trailer. I'm like, yeah, I don't need to. A24 is putting it out. I don't need it.
But it's got excellent cinematography.
Yeah. I don't. How many people run around with a lawnmower killing zombies? None. I'm out.
Yeah. No one scoops their own brain back into their own head. No. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, there's no reanimated cat going, you know, flying around the room. I don't need to see it.
I forgot it flew.
So I don't know. I mean, my love of horror is very broad. It's not anything specific. I'm not just I only like this type of horror. I'm not a big fan, I'll say, of extreme gore that's plotless, you know, like, and I'm not a fan of real gore. Like the Face of Death movies, obviously a lot of that stuff is faked in there, and that's pretty obvious, you know, and that stuff I don't care about. But like, you know, the animal cruelty, it was on display like in the first one, you know, I did not enjoy that or crave that more and want to see more of that. I don't enjoy hearing about people really suffering, and school shootings and stuff like that, you know, just sadden me. But horror movies are an escape from that, you know, and so when it has an element of fun to it with a plot, it can be a thin plot, like a Friday the 13th movies don't have deep plots to them.
Yeah, but just
but
a plot, period, you know?
Yeah, they're a roller coaster ride, you know, but extreme gore with no purpose. It's just really just like trying to shock you with no plot. Just be like, oh, look, I'm doing something no one's done before. It's rarely been done, you know, and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't really do anything.
Did you dress up for Halloween
this year? No,
I
stopped a long time ago. I mean, if you know, my girlfriend wanted to go to a costume party and have us dress up, I would be all for it and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I stopped dressing up a long time ago.
I mean in childhood.
Oh yeah, of course.
Did you have a
yeah, up until I mean, I don't remember what year I stopped trick or treating and stuff like that. But
did you have a favorite costume?
And yeah, so I pick out usually who I liked at that time. I mean, a lot of mine were Star Wars, and then I remember
There's
doing
no shortage of Star Wars Ben Cooper costumes. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think I remember. I don't remember if I did the Alien one or a Jaws one. I know they did have them. I'm pretty sure they had a Jaws one.
How about least favorite?
But I did. I remember I got this black cape that my mom had from like a witch costume or something like that, and I would use that in. By like just a Darth Vader plastic mask. I remember a couple of years, and I had like a jacket that had like the puffy sort of arms, and it was black, and so I could put together a decent looking Star Wars. It was actually, the costume itself was real good. The mask was very cheap, because I remember the kid across the street had won this contest at school where he got the, you know, the Darth Vader mask, the full one with the, you know, the two piece, and you know, he would wear that for Halloween and have almost like regular clothes on, and I'd have like this amazing costume,
and no mask,
plastic Darth Vader mask. Yeah, and they would always marvel, oh wow, that looks so good. And I wanted to be just like, well, let me have your helmet, you know, because then I could complete the costume. Right. You know?
Yeah.
But I remember, you know, doing, like I said, Darth Vader my last couple of years of trick or treating, because they had this perfect, you know, costume part.
Did you have any really scary dreams as a teenager?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have anything that was necessarily reoccurring. There might have been reoccurring, you know, themes like, you know, being in school and realizing you're still in your underwear, or you know, trying to find a bathroom because you had to pee real bad, and it turned out you really did have to pee real bad. No, I mean, there was one scary dream that I always remember of, like, there was this girl in a painting who, I forget if I was telling people that she was alive and no one believed me, and then when they weren't looking, she like transported me into the painting, and she came out of the painting, was alive, and I remember it sounded like the people being like, "Where's Ron?" And then someone being like, "Who cares? There's this beautiful girl here now." And I was like in the painting trapped, and no one was helping me. You know, like I remember, you know, that dream scaring me, and still a dream I remember from a very young age.
It's funny. It almost sounds like you fell asleep watching Twilight Zone or Night Gallery or something.
Yeah, maybe I had watched a bunch of Twilight Zone, and that's what triggered that dream. But nothing like, say, Nightmare on Elm Street, where I kept dreaming I was in a boiler room and the guy with razor blade fingers was chasing me or something. You know.
So yeah, come check us out over at horrormixeshappy.com, or check out some of our other excerpts until you find someone whose interview you do want to hear.